Hello, my friends, my family, my community, my tribe. Welcome to the Hippie Moms Podcast. Yeah, what's happening, my friends, my family, my community, my tribe? How are you all? So glad you're here. So I want to start this podcast with a little story. I woke up this morning and I was just feeling kind of blah. Like, it's Thursday, which we're close to the weekend, which I'm honestly but working to not live for the weekends, right? Like, I actually love when my kids go to school. I'm just being real, okay? Thank God my kids are in-person school. They need it so much. And I feel for all the mamas out there homeschooling and their kids not in school. Like, I just feel like it's such a big disservice. But we're not going to go into that because that's not what the podcast is about. But I woke up this morning and honestly, I started thinking about next week. I have so much work to do. I want to record podcasts all the time. You can't do that when you have a bunch of kids around you. You know what I'm saying? And my boys like to fight. They really do. They fight. My eldest is the poker, poke. And my youngest, it just loves to be poked. And he responds. We call him the bear. And we're always like, Rylan, don't poke the bear. And Ryder's like, Ryder's the bear, don't poke him. It's kind of funny, but sometimes it's actually not funny. And so what I've realized as I wake up in these moods, or if these I'm starting to kind of feel the pressure of something that's coming up, right? I'm not living in the present, right? We talked a lot about that in the last podcast about meditation, noticing thoughts. So what I did this morning is I noticed that thought. And one thing, and this is what the podcast is about, one thing that I know that really helps me is to get my butt outside. And so I got up quickly once I realized this was a wonderful solution to my low mood. And I got everything ready and I told my husband, I'm like, honey, I need you to make the kids breakfast. Actually, he feeds my kids breakfast all the time. Actually every morning he feeds the kids breakfast. I make their lunches and get all their stuff together and help them get ready. And I mean, they get dressed by themselves, but it's like all the things that go into getting your kids off to school. And I was just like, I'm out. I actually just recorded a podcast, which was so much fun. I was the guest. It was such a blast. And I was like, well, I need to get back before then. So I need to get out early. So I got out early, got in my car, rolled down the windows. It was beautiful. It was like 51 degrees out and sunny. And I got up to the mountain and I just started to get on that trail. And I am not kidding. Every time I get out there, every time I'm out in nature, even just walking outside, I feel like my whole body, my entire body exhales. So not just my lungs, right? It's like my whole body exhales. And it just made me remember. It reminded me how important movement is and how important it is that people understand how important movement is. Because we all know exercise, we all need to exercise. But here's the problem, is that exercise is different than movement, okay? And in healthy movement, when we think about exercise, we think about fitness or losing weight or looking better. We need to reimagine what movement is. Because I know a lot of times, like in my earlier days, 10 years ago, I was exercising hard because I wanted to lose weight. I was eating like shit. I didn't understand what was in my food. I didn't understand all the chemicals that were making me fat and miserable. So I'm like, well, exercise, working out hard is really important. So I would go and I'd kick my own butt. I would lift tons of weight. I would do like 2 yoga classes in a day on the weekend, and I would be drained. I would, hike, and just, it was all about doing as much as I could, no matter what my body was telling me, right? Because I was going to lose weight. I was going to look great. But you know what? Actually, the opposite happened. The opposite actually happened. And that's why I want to maybe instill just a new idea, because if you put a lot of pressure on yourself to exercise, right, and push yourself and it becomes almost joyless, then you're doing it wrong. okay? Or actually, let me rephrase that. You're actually doing it right. Because with that, you learn, because that's the dichotomy, remember. We have to learn sometimes the hard way. That's why we learn the hard way, because we understand that if we make choices a certain way, it's going to lead us down a certain path. So for me, it was really important to experience how much I hated exercise, even though I loved the way it made me feel. So here is the thing. The thing is that vanity is usually what fuels us to exercise. It's vanity. And I'll be honest, vanity has, for the majority of my health-focused living and obsession, has always been vanity, because I want to look great. I have been conditioned by a culture that my worth is based on the way that I look. And I'm here to tell you that is bullshit, okay? Complete bullshit. And what I want to talk about today is I think that's important to kind of start there. I mean, vanity can be a source of good fuel for some people, especially, the ego wants you to look good. It wants you to be accepted. It wants the world to think you're amazing. And vanity's, a fuel source for that. But as we get older and we start to look at how we're living in a holistic perspective, that mindset, that belief system doesn't fit in. Okay, so we're questioning that belief system. So what I want to do is I want to give you kind of maybe a new idea, a new mindset, a new belief system to consider. Okay. And I almost want to take exercise out of the English vocabulary period. And I want to bring in the two words joyful movement. Now there's actually a book. I'm actually reading it right now. I don't know. I'm gonna find out who the author is. Joyful Movement. I really like it. It's science-based. I'll put a link to it. I got a frog in my throat today. And it really is, I love it because it talks a lot about the benefits. Not that we already know exercise or movement is amazing for us, right? Do we not? I mean, we already know, it's been proven so many times that moving our body is vital. It really is. And what we have to do, it's called The Joy of Movement by Kelly. Oh, there, I'm actually didn't want to play it. Kelly McGonigal. She's a PhD. She's also wrote The Willpower Instinct. And her thing is how exercise helps us find happiness, hope, connection, and courage. And I believe that, but I think we really have to go with the word movement, okay? Again, movement. And a lot of times we think that, understanding what movement does to our body, if we understand how it actually serves us in such a huge way, it becomes something we want to do. And that's the biggest thing, because so many times people don't want to go to the gym, right? Ugh. But once you get there and you do your thing and you're in it, you're like, yeah, I'm rock. I am so amazing. I am so good. So there's this disconnect, right? That we know it's something that we need to do that is good for us. You do not need to be, I am not convincing you that movement is good for you. You already know that, okay? And if you don't, well, I don't know, Google it, okay? But we all know it's important to us. But it's this disconnect of knowing that it's good for us and wanting to do it, right? And getting our butts to do it and being consistent with it. Now, as I record this, it's November. It's a week before Thanksgiving. We're going to be moving into a new year, 2021. Thank goodness. I think it brings us a lot of hope, especially after 2020 is gone. And the thing is in January, that's when we all start our New Year's resolutions, right? That's where we all are like, all right, we're going to go to the gym, or maybe we're not going to go to the gym. Maybe we're going to do this. We're going to do this workout. And we get all geared up and we amped up to do it. And then come like a couple weeks or maybe even a week for some people, we lose momentum and we just stop and we go back to the way that we've always been. Okay. And this is for the majority of us, unfortunately. So what we have to look at is not, getting a plan to move our bodies. is not something that we just do for a month. It is literally an integral part of our existence. It is so important that our body moves, that we do not become stagnant, because there are so many things that movement does to our body on a physiological level that we cannot get anywhere else. The thing is, our ancestors moved in so many ways throughout the day, week, month, and year. And there was a seasonal variety that drove these survival needs. And our lives were extremely physically dynamic because of necessity, because we had to move. We had to run hundreds of miles in order to get food. We had to move all day long to gather and get these important resources so that we could survive. And the thing is that movement is vital on a cellular level. There is this scientist, Katie Bauman, at Move Your DNA, and she says our lack of movement input is slowly suffocating us on a cellular level. And evolutionary, we are designed to move. Our bodies are designed to move. And not only does movement impact our physiology, our psychology, but it's imperative for our proper function of our body. And so we have to understand that no matter what, how much we dislike movement, we must do it. Okay, we must do it. And there's the disconnect, right? Now let me ask you something. And I want you to be honest with yourself, okay? I wish I could hear your answers, but have you ever exercised and regretted it? Have you? Have you ever gone for a walk and been like, darn, I wish I didn't go on that walk? Have you ever done a yoga class and been like, oh, I wish I didn't do that yoga class. It was so lame. Okay, maybe you didn't have a great teacher. I've had a couple of those and it just wasn't vibing. But overall, I guarantee that your answer is no. You have never regretted moving your beautiful body. And this is what gets me so much is, I'm going to talk a little bit about what COVID's done and what I've seen happen to people that are not moving. COVID has been a very traumatic experience for so many people. Early on, when it first came out, I was devastated. I was confused. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Nobody did. No, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know the truth. We didn't know what was happening. All we had to do is stay in our homes away from each other. But one thing I knew is through that uncertainty, I knew I had control over my body, what I put in my body, how I moved my body. And every time I would go for a walk, every time I would go out and hike, every time I would do a stream of yoga class, I felt better. And for so many people, it's been an excuse not to work out. It's been an excuse for people not to do things. And listen, if you're one of those people, it's okay. I understand. There could be further trauma and other things going on in your life where you just physically can't do it. And I get it. But I'm not talking about that, end of the side of the pendulum. I'm really talking about people that use it as an excuse to not take care of themselves. But the thing is, it doesn't even have to be COVID. We use excuses all the time not to do things that we need to do for ourselves to be healthy. And I saw this with a lot of my friends and family. Their gym's closed, so they just stopped moving. Oh, well, I can't work out. It's like, you can work out. You go for a walk. You lift weights, lift water bottles, and this is what gets me so much. And I understand that laziness is so much preferred by our society than doing something that is taking actionable steps towards building a life that you deserve. And movement has to be in that piece of the pie. Remember, we talked about the piece of the pie, right? We have our air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, the stress we manage, and the way we move our bodies. The next is going to be connection, and I'm going to interweave mentors in there, why I think that's vital in our development and living towards that optimal version of ourselves. But our optimal version, remember that connection to who we want to be, movement is part of that. Okay? Movement is, we are literally born to move. And human life has become structured in a way that makes it really easy not to move. We have all the conveniences, right? We have all the stimulus in our screens and on our computers and our phones and our TVs. And, you can just order food. Like, we don't have to go kill animals and gather a bunch of food. No, we can just sit on our couch and literally have it delivered to us. Like, even with Amazon, it's insane. It's insane what you can have delivered. I mean, even groceries, you never have to leave. And this technology has truly moved, these modern conveniences have created sedentary occupations, like I said, door delivered groceries and meals, video entertainment, and it just has radically altered the way that we use our time. Okay, it's really altered the way we move. We don't move. We move. We just sit, and it's like it's ruining our health. So check this out. So you can have the perfect diet. You can manage your stress. You can sleep a full 8 hours at night, and engage in what you would think optimal living. But on a cellular level, if you're not moving your body, your homeostasis, your balance in your body, your tissues. So first of all, your homeostasis, you will not achieve, okay? Tissues will be deformed. And what happens is this modern day dilemma is what Katie Bauman, that's what I just alluded to her earlier, is called the disease of behavior. This condition is a consequence of being sedentary. And what we need to really understand is that our bodies are desperate to move. They want to move. They need to move. One of the main systems, besides the cardiovascular system, that is dependent on movement is called the lymphatic system. This is what I like to call your trash system, your cellular trash system. And I want you to think about it as a stale river. Okay, a river that does not move unless you move. Okay, if you don't move, your lymphatic system doesn't move, and it's not able to circulate. It's not able to get rid of all that cellular dead, garbage that you don't need. And so the beautiful thing, you guys, the most beautiful thing is you don't have to go and do a 3-hour CrossFit workout, okay, or go run for 15 miles, or do 2 hours of power yoga. The thing is that movement is you can find it through vacuuming and mopping your house, through, biking to go get your groceries or a snack, walking around the block between work assignments, like just getting outside. Yesterday, Scott came home and we was making lunch. I'd been at my desk for the majority of the morning, and I was like, hey, you want to go to walk? And he's like, yes. We got out there. We did a fast-paced walk for 25 minutes. It felt amazing. Again, I felt my whole body breathe. I get back. My mind was clear. We talked through some things. He's like, I can't tell you how much better I feel. I'm like, I know. We need to do this on a regular basis. We need to go for afternoon walks. So much we think we have so many more important things to do, right? Just like we have so many more important things than to meditate, than to sit with ourselves, to think about what we're thinking, to really look at what we're thinking. Right? We have better things to do than move our bodies. And let me tell you, we don't. Because if you want to operate in an optimal way and to become the version of yourself that is longing to be, you got to move your body. Okay? And you can take your kids to the park, play with them, lift, do some squats, push-ups, lunges during commercials, or stretch after dinner. One thing I love to do is foam roll. Do you guys ever roll? It's amazing. My husband was doing something called 75 Hard. Have you guys ever heard of that? And it's program. It's a lot of different elements to it, but one of it is working out twice a day for 45 minutes. And I'm like, that's a lot. And you got to do 2 separate workouts. Because I'm like, I can work out for an hour and a half, but like two different times a day, that's kind of beyond me. But the point is, it's really about the mental part of it, about actually doing it. And it's incredible. But one thing he started doing at night was rolling for 45 minutes. And I'm like, I want to roll, right? And so I started doing that and stretching and rolling my body. It felt like I had a full body massage. It was incredible. I just love it. Rolling is so good. One of the things I always recommend for people is, when you are, and we're going to talk about this a little bit at the end, but finding something you love to do. Because if you find something you love to do, you're going to not make so much excuses about it. And one of the things I love to do is I love walking with friends. Like that, I will literally plan walk dates with my friends. I'll be like, hey, instead of going and getting a glass of wine, which we can't really do right now anyway, or having to, make a big dinner so we can sit around which I love doing that, of course, but let's just go for a walk. Let's just go for a 30, 45-minute walk, and we can talk and we can chat and we can connect. My beautiful friend, Carrie, she's going to actually be, we're going to be recording her podcast, me interviewing her tomorrow on this podcast. I cannot wait. We used to do that all the time. We'd call them catch-up walks, and we would just walk and talk. And I swear we would walk miles and miles and miles, and it felt like 5 minutes. It was so wonderful. I just love it. Dancing. Oh my gosh, you guys, dancing is so good for you. There's so many things that you can do. And the thing is, and I'm going to share with you, I don't really, when I get up in the morning, the first thing I always do is I'm like, how am I going to get my workout in? And do I want to work out? No, I don't. Now, if I go for a walk and hike, I'm always down to do that. I'm always down to be outside because I just love being outside, and that like feeds my soul. But some days I can't do that. I have, I lift weights. I'm so fortunate. My husband, for our 10-year anniversary, bought us a Peloton bike. It's so romantic. I love it. It's amazing. The app is awesome. And so, and I hate stationary bikes, but I'll tell you what, when I get off that thing, I feel like $1,000,000 fucking bucks. Excuse my language. Really, I feel amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so what I want to just, implant in here is that even though you don't want to move, your body does. And so I want you to move past that disconnection and get your body moving. Get those endorphins. Get those feel-good chemicals going. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, this is good. This is what I feel like doing. It is something that is so important, as a part of a healthy life, and to show your children, right? Kids need to move too. Most kids are just sitting in front of their screens all day long. Not moving. Sometimes my son Rylan is sitting watching his Kindle, and he's just hunched over, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, nope, because your posture, think about that. You're just bent over. I mean, it structurally changes the way your body is. So when we move and we create that freedom and flow in our body, it's healing on a cellular level, mental, emotional, physical level. We are made to move. And our body, because it loves to move and it wants to move, it gives you so many benefits. So many benefits. It's been proven that healthy movement helps us feel well physically and emotionally. We function, we're more productive. We think, learn, and remember better. We interact with the world on a higher level. And we can communicate and express ourselves. And it also helps us connect and build relationships with others. Now, I want you to see, as we go through these podcasts, as I'm sharing what I've learned on my journey towards optimal health, you have to see that all these things are integrated, right? Everything's integrated. What we put into our body, what we breathe, how much water we drink, whether we move or not, and the connection with our world, which we'll be talking about the next podcast, is so vital, and it's all integrated. You can't just take out one of it and just say, I'm just gonna exercise and that's gonna be it. We need all of these things. And the thing is, you don't need workouts to move. There's nothing magic about a resistance circuit or the boot camp class at your gym or the latest training method or workout method. There's nothing magical about it. Our ancestors didn't need to work out when they were walking, climbing, running, crawling, swimming, clambering, hauling, digging, squatting, throwing, and carrying things to survive. Like, they didn't need an exercise class. That's the thing. We sometimes create all these excuses, and believe me, I have too. There's some days I'm like, I'm just going to take a day off. And you know what? Good, take a day off, right? Don't you dare be taking 5 days off, unless you're sick, of course. You have to be mindful. But the thing is you can make excuses your whole life. And then you get to the end of your life. And let me tell you, when you're on your deathbed, you're going to be like, damn, I wish I moved more. The last 5 years, I wouldn't had to need help going to the bathroom, right? Or you'd be able to dress yourself. And that's what I look at. I look at my future self. I look at that future, senior citizen Becky that's out there boogie woogieing, dancing on the dance floor, living it up in her, the senior living place that I'm going to live is going to serve all organic food, have Reiki, massage classes, acupuncture. It's going to be awesome, you guys. Do you want to come live there with me? Because we're going to create it together, okay? It's going to be amazing. We're going to have, food from the local farm. And I am going to be dancing my tail off until I die, okay? That's my plan. But that future Becky is relying on me to move my body, to feed my body, to connect with the earth and nature and hydrate and breathe in clean air. And so that's what I'm doing. And that's what I urge you to do, because once you do it, you're going to teach your kids to do it. And they're going to teach their kids to do it. And we are collectively going to steer the world to a new direction. Yeah, I don't know where that came, but that's how I feel, you guys. I really do. I really want you to understand that it is so important to move your body. And it's not about losing weight. It's not about, getting muscle and looking great in a bathing suit. It's about you functioning day to day in life. Okay? Now, my mother, I don't think she'll ever listen to this podcast. I don't think she's ever listened to a podcast, but I want to share a little bit about her. So she, she's been working out probably since I was in high school. We got a gym membership, and her and my dad were going to the gym regularly, maybe 3-4 times a week, which is awesome. And my mom has a twin sister, my Aunt Terry, and beautiful, beautiful people. I love them so much. And my aunt never worked out, never. Now, my aunt had 3 boys. Her husband died when the boys were very young. Very tragic, very traumatic experience for all of them. And my aunt had to put food on the table. She didn't have anyone else to help her. And they're twins. I didn't know if I mentioned that, but they're twin sisters. I think they're identical. They think they're fraternal, but who cares at this point? They're not willing to get a DNA test. I'm like, do you want a DNA test for Christmas? Because I'm really curious. They're like, we don't care. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But you can see the difference, just crazy difference between these, twins that have almost identical, DNA, and they look completely different. My aunt has diabetes. She has had back surgery, hip surgery, and it's really sad. And my mom was doing really good for a while. She was doing great. She was implementing a lot of these, clean living tips. She only started implementing them when I stopped telling her what to do, right? She just started asking, noticing that I was doing certain things, and she'd ask about them. That's a whole other subject. But it was beautiful, and she started implementing. She started to look really good. And then COVID hit. The gym closed down, and she stopped working out. And she had this hip issue for a while, and I'll tell you what, she was doing great. She was managing, she was doing exercises, looking at alternative ways, and she stopped moving. And she was forced to get a hip replacement. And it has been a long struggle for her. It dislocated twice. She's had a hard time coming back. And I really do believe it's because she stopped moving. She stopped giving her body what it needs. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And I'm so grateful for her and my aunt to be kind of that awareness for me that, like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to live that life. I want to be dancing on that damn dance floor when I'm older, And if everyone else is in their wheelchair, fine. But Scott and I are going to be there dancing together, right? That's my hope. That's my dream. And that's my hope that you're on that dance floor with me, and that your kids, that you can run after your grandkids, and you can take them on weekends away, and spend time with them and keep up with them and take care of them because you have energy, you have your health, you have your wellness. And I'll tell you what, no matter where you are, the more you move, the better your body will function. Okay, so even if you don't move at all, start walking to the mailbox, right? Then walk down the street. Just every day shooting for a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then this is what I'm talking about. These are the baby steps. You start doing these baby steps and over time they add up. And as you're walking and doing these exercises, things like eating a bag of Doritos in front of the TV isn't going to be a priority anymore, right? You're going to move your body and you're like, well, I just moved my body. I feel so good. I'm going to eat apple instead. And it's this whole transition that happens as we begin to move. So I don't know how exciting this podcast was. I kind of went all over the place, but my hope for you is one, understand how vital movement is for your health. Your kids are watching you. If you do not exercise, most likely they're not going to exercise when they're older, okay? Statistics just show that our kids, begin to live the lifestyle that we live and that we show them that we show them how we live when we're raising them. So move your body, make it an integral part of your life and your lifestyle so your kids can see what that means. 2 is find something you love, the joy of movement, right? Find something you love to do and do that. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a crazy workout. Just move, all right? Play, dance, walk, hike, get out in nature. That's even, triple the benefit is being outside in nature. Number 3, that disconnect between I don't want to do it, right? And when you do it, you know how much you love it. Get over it. Just go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay? Get it done. And then every time you're done with your workout, I want you to write yourself a little note and say, I am so glad I did a workout. Write yourself. I literally do this sometimes. I literally write myself, like the Peloton bike. I hated it. So after I'd get done, I'd write myself a note and be like, I feel awesome. Do 30 minutes next time. And I would do it and I would up my time. It's just those little things. Communicate to your future self about how awesome you felt so that future self continues on that path. Okay? And 4, just know that you don't have to do super hard things to make a big difference, okay? It's the baby steps. Start small. I love you all. Thanks for listening. In my next podcast, because this is a community podcast, we're going to be talking about connection to ourself, connection to nature, connection to our food, getting back to connection, being with ourselves. And I'm going to weave in mentorship. Why I think that is part of the 7 vital things we need for wellness. We need mentors, we need guides, and people to help us along the path, to light the way, be our lighthouse for us, right? And I'm going to share some of mine with you, and I know they will grow and grow and grow. I love you all. Have a beautiful day, and I can't wait to catch you on the next Hippie Moms podcast. Bye.